Well, in case you want to know why we're starting the tour here, it's really fairly obvious looking at it. It is a very old building. This is what the Lord of the Manor saw when he came out of the front door of the manor house. Unfortunately, the manor house is now gone. This is the only bit that has survived.
X to the fourth plus x squared dx, which you've got to integrate. And the problem is...
Rossall has been a great influence on me, and I feel that when I compare myself to old friends who've been elsewhere, I seem to have had more opportunities. For example, I feel lucky to have been able to study both the arts and sciences. I did English and maths at A-level, and I hope to go on to read maths at Oxford.
Plus a constant. We'll call it A, as it's Monday and the beginning of the week. We might as well begin at the beginning of the alphabet.
Angulo. Ruenio. Serio.
Now do that again, okay, and we'll all do the second person, okay? All right, just do it again.
Echo sum magister. Woe says discipline.
Tu es magister.
I came to Rossall 10 weeks ago, at the age of 11. I started Latin then. It was a bit of a mystery for me. Most of us hadn't done Latin before. The learning of the verbs was a bit tricky at first, but I'm beginning to enjoy it now.
Serio.
Des.
I suppose the family used to come out of the front door in the evenings, walk up here, have their coffee and their dessert as they watched the sun go down in a most glorious sunset. Well, the family itself was called Fleetwood. And if you, when you go down again, look at the crest just down here, that is the Fleetwood crest. You can see another version of it on the side of the dining hall over there.
32, you would have won.
Put miles down, miles
That freestyle.
Yeah.
We'll put John down for that because you're quite close.
Come on, Smithy. Come on, get those arms right over. Pull.
In our creative design department, we do work involving metalwork, woodwork and plastics, and this gives me the opportunity to make things I wouldn't make at home, like a bookcase, a table made out of a Roco, and now I'm working on a go-kart.
I'm now at the stage where I've taken all the grades I want to on the piano, and I now play simply for pleasure. Although this piece by Bartok is quite complicated, it's very exciting to play. It really gives me an opportunity to attack the piano.
Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been to Marlborough College in Wiltshire. That was started in 1843. And just as Marlborough had been built for the sons of the clergy in the south of England, so all these new parishes that were starting in industrial England up in the north had fathers who wanted education for their sons. And that is how the Northern Church of England School, as Rossall used to be called, was started.
General salute! Present! On!
Rossall was the first school in the country to raise a volunteer corps entirely from its own members. And that happened in 1860.
Very smart. Now, you have got a qualification which I haven't seen on anybody else.
It's a coxswain, sir.
It's a coxswain, is it?
Junior coxswain.
Are you the only person that's got that qualification?
In this group, sir.
It is in this group, yes. Well done.
In 1921, soon after the end of the First World War, the Prince of Wales, as he was, came to inspect the entire corps on Prize Day. And later in 1933, his younger brother, who later became the Duke of Kent, inspected a Guard of Honour as the Duke was on his way to Fleetwood.
Headmaster, what qualities do schools like Rossall set out to achieve?
Well, the answer in a nutshell, I think, is the rounded development of each pupil, and a rounded development which is in the style which is in harmony with the beliefs and perhaps aspirations of parents, and also in a style which prepares our pupils to be active and to be successful in the rapidly changing world in which they are going to live and work.
So we've got to take C, now it's called Q this time.
Our style, as I see it, is a blend which seeks to combine the best of our very rich inheritance of tradition with the best in the contemporary fields of the arts and in science, and now increasingly in the areas of design and technology.
So in fact there is still a pulsing, but it's too rapid for the indicator lamps to follow. We detect it by means of the audio tone. We can alter the frequency by altering the input capacitance. We make it smaller, and the pulse repetition rate becomes greater, and the frequency rises, so we can actually play tunes with the basic units.
Our aim is to challenge pupils to strive for excellence, the very best which they are capable of achieving. And this means learning to work hard, trying to be creative, and training to be resilient in the solving of problems.
Okay, no, don't put the flame under yet. Right, turn it to blue, get it really roaring hot, don't put it under. Yep.
The benefits of boarding stem from the continuity which boarding provides. The continuity which promotes the proliferation of activities and, above all, of course, a sense of community.
Well, you may think it's a very handsome-looking archway, but there was a time when there were great gates there on either side, and at night everybody was locked in, very prison-like in those days. The other interesting thing is up there in that window, that is where we are told a young Thomas Beecham had his study. It was a very large room, so that he was able to get his own piano in it. Well, we think that's true anyway. Right, let's come on into the square now.
Your diaphragm.
Good.
Plenty of tongue.
Well, I've been playing the flute for about 6 years now. Ever since I've come to Rossall, and even before that, and I've just carried on playing all the way through the school, and hopefully I will carry on playing it until I leave. And both my brothers who play brass instruments, so it's a contrasting sound, and my parents don't really like the brass instruments too much, and they prefer the flute.
Slowing down, getting softer, get softer. B. Now push the lips and the jaw forward.
Good.
Yes, certainly.
Well, you come now. Go straight first.
And that does mean that you have got a chance of upgrading the performance, and they've got to pay for it.
I live in Oman, and I do a lot of tobacco there. At Rossall we have our own branch of the British Tobacco Club, and each day we practice in the school pool. What we're doing this afternoon is an exercise called ditch and retrieve.
Now, I always say that this was the most marvellous piece of forward planning, this building. It's the first building for the new school, 1850. There it is. You can always see what it is. You know it. It's the library. But when it was built as the school chapel. Within 10 years, it was too small. The school had expanded so quickly. It was called Archbishop Sumner's Chapel, because the first of the bishops to look after Rossall as the visitor had just been made the Archbishop of Canterbury. So here we have Archbishop Sumner's Chapel, which had a life of about 10 years, and then they had to go and build the big one over there. Another bit of old Rossall, these 5 courts. Unlike any other 5 courts in the country, they haven't got a back wall, so it's not like rugby 5s. It hasn't got a flat left-hand wall, so it's not like anything else. They are Rossall 5 courts. A buttress in the middle, 2 buttresses at each corner at the back, and no back wall. No. The miles of shore that we've got are absolutely marvellous in the spring term, when the playing fields of most schools in England happen to be underwater. We can play, of course, every time that the tide is out. The rules of the games of Rossall hockey were established some time before the rules of association hockey. And as you can see, the main aspect of the game is dribbling. Just before the First World War, a new headmaster laid down, even though the old boys objected strongly, laid down that rugby was to be the game. And for the last 70 years, we have played rugby with a great degree of success.
I enjoy music and spend a lot of time in the Beecham schools. I play 2 instruments, the piano and the violin. It's exciting when you play in an orchestra. I'm in the 2nd now and hope to go into the 1st soon.
Now, at the moment, we've got you down to do general science and CD for next year. I don't honestly think you were talking about doing biology at O-level at one stage, weren't you?
I don't honestly think that the way things are going at the moment, unless you can produce a super exam, that it's going to look as if it's going to be possible. Anyway, you think over the subject choices, yes, and if you want to change, or if you want to consider something else, we'll talk about it with a report at the end of term. Okay? Okay. So anyway, I'm very pleased with English, and nice to see you a little bit more distinguished in French.
Okay, can
Jolly
I
good.
have a pound as well, please?
Yep. There we are.
Thanks.
Get minstrels, please. Have a snowball, please. A wine bar, please. A wine bar, please. Slot. And a packet of treats, please.
Have you got any idea what's involved in the law?
I've got a fair idea, yeah. I've had loads of conflicting views on law. People say it's boring, people say it's interesting, people say there's a lot of work, people say there's just as much work as everything else.
And have you been along to, say, a solicitor's office?
Oh,
have
no,
you been
no.
into court?
No.
Well, action list of things to do. Like to jot them down on a piece of paper. Very important indeed to go along to a solicitor in the holidays.
That used to be, as you can see, cottages, farm cottages for the farmer, stables and room for the carriages for members of common room at the back. And then in 1946 the whole thing was transformed because Rossall started taking boys at the age of 11. And that really was a very revolutionary step. Boys coming straight from primary schools all over the northwest at the age of 11.
Now when they're 13, all boys and girls here spend 3 terms in what we call the Rossall Award.
If you want to go from 1 to 2, you turn the dial so that the black lines, or the red lines, depending on what kind of compass you've got, are parallel to the north, magnetic north lines. That's the black lines that go to the top of the map.
Put it over your head. Put your arm through here and tie it round. Yep, do it tight. Yep. When you capsize, you go over, lean forward, grab the front of your canoe and pull yourself out, okay?
I want somebody to make a scrambled egg.
Excuse me.
No way am I eating.
We hope that during this year at Rossall Ward, you'll all be faced with exciting challenges in activities you've probably never come across before. It will all be great fun. Some of it may be a bit hairy, but you'll always have boys and girls experienced in these activities leading you.
Once you don't get your rope tangled. That's right. And stand straight up on it.
Where do I put my left foot?
Push up with your right leg, Ali. Push up with your right leg. Keep hold of that brick and put your left foot on the stand. That's right. Now put your right foot on the brick there. Now put your left foot on the sand. There you go, it's made now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now right foot on the sand.
Take in.
Your left foot on the brick. Yeah. Yeah.
Problem.
It's too small.
What?
There's no overhang to swing from.
Yeah, Mama.
Yeah.
Well done, Ali. Who's dead?
Over here, of course, we've got another quite revolutionary step. One or two of you I don't need to introduce it to. Dolphin House, built specially for the day girls and living, I might say, in conditions of supreme comfort.
Headmaster, where do our pupils come from?
I would say that the great majority come from regions which are within 2.5 hours drive from Rossall, though of course with our easy access by the motorway system, this can be a substantial distance. Many of those who come from outside that circle would be sons of older Salians. We also have a very important leavening of pupils from overseas. The great majority of these would come to us via our junior school. And it's perhaps worth adding that we do as much as we possibly can to try to help solve the practical difficulties which are associated with pupils travelling into this country from overseas. Another point worth making is that whilst a significant proportion of our parents went to boarding schools themselves, the great majority have no experience of boarding in their family tradition. Their decision to choose a boarding education, often at the cost of significant changes in family priorities, is a clear indication of their commitment to the idea that education is an important equity investment in their children's future. And in fact, I have made precisely the same decision in respect of my own children.
Sing a song, sing a song, sing a song, sing a song, sing a song.